Yuno was an ugly poor child who was bullied by her mom for being a worthless failure, but she laced their food to lock them inside of her cage and kept starving them until a serial killer ended her miserable life. At the same time, Yuki was an ugly, disgusting, worthless loser who noticed that his diary began predicting the events on the news, even seeing the test answers were now on his phone. But although this dickhead finally passed the first test in his life by cheating, he saw Yuno staring directly at his soul, and when class was over, she ran off before he could talk to her. As soon as she was gone, some psychotic chick appeared wearing a maid outfit, and Yuno's massive cannons heard the static of her future diary being rewritten. The woman kept walking towards him and grabbed Yuki's phone, asking him if he was the first diary holder. In that moment, the future was rewritten to reveal he was going to die, but Yuno ran to save his life, as the girl narrowly dodged the fire extinguisher. She revealed that she was the 9th, and that her name was Mina, saying that she was about to kill all of them. In that instant, all of the classrooms began blowing up, and when the dust settled, Yuno had managed to save Yuki from the explosion, and said that she would definitely kill her, promising that she would do anything for him, and kissed his lips, making him realize that he needed to stay by her side. Outside the building, Mina said that she had planted bombs all around the school, revealing that all of them were now her hostage. However, his future diary was rewritten to show that class 2 degrees Celsius exploded, so Yuno leaped to save him from the explosion, and told him to read the next entry. But when he saw that the hallway would explode, they began running up the stairs, and he realized that Yuno's reaction speed was amazing. The building continued exploding, but as soon as he thought they were safe, an explosion went off from behind him, knocking him down. Although the police had managed to arrive, the chief commanded the snipers to retreat, saying that she had a death switch that would cause all of the bombs to detonate when her heart stopped. His assistant wondered how he knew that, but the 4th diary holder gave a sly smile. As Yuki and Yuno kept sneaking around, she realized that it had become suspiciously peaceful without any explosions. But Yuki saw his bully Kazuto, so he began running towards him, but their futures were changed, and they pinned him to the ground while restraining Yuno. This was all part of Mina's plan, as she had made a deal with the students to capture Yuki in exchange for letting them stay alive, and disabled the bomb sensors until they caught him. So as they brought him outside, he wondered why his lifelong friends would betray him, and Mina activated the hallway bomb sensors once again. However, Yuno realized that not a single person in this entire school cared about him, so she promised to be the only thing to protect him, no matter who died. Just then, all the bombs began going off in the building as she tripped off all of the sensors. With the building collapsing, the captain told them it was time to move, and Yuki realized this would be the end for him. But Mina revealed that all of the bombs would go off in 10 minutes for a grand finale. However, a bullet nearly pierced her face, and the police chief introduced himself as the 4th, saying that he was on Yuki's side since he didn't care about the god seat. Hearing those words, Mina told him that she would spare everyone if he killed Yuki, so he smiled at Yuki's ugly ass, but pointed his weapon towards him, apologizing because his life wasn't worth it. In that moment, Yuno broke through the window to kill Mina, but she evaded the attack and kicked her away. And the officer told him that this was his chance to prove he wasn't a loser by killing the 9th. So he began running through the minefield, and Yuno told him which directions he would take to avoid the bombs. But as he grabbed his phone, the officer began firing at Mina. However, Mina managed to restrain Yuno, and the police officer was out of ammo. But as soon as she was about to manually explode all of the bombs, a book fell on top of her head, and all of his classmates began throwing their books to distract her. Even so, she was able to detonate the bombs, and as Yuki kept rushing forward, he grabbed a dart to stab her diary. But before it would pierce, she sacrificed her own eyeball to survive. As the police officer got closer, he told her that she had no way of escaping, but she activated a smoke screen to blind them, and emerged with a motorcycle, saying that she had the escape diary to run away, and the dead-end entries were now erased. A few hours later, the police officer said that they needed to form an alliance if they wanted to survive this game, and introduced himself as Kago. But although Yuki was happy because they would now be safer, she was happy for a different reason, since her diary said they would develop plot on July 28th. As the sun began setting and rain started falling down, Yuki walked her back to her home. But before the simp would leave, she asked him to come inside because she's home alone. At the same time, Mina wondered why she was unable to lose the police, especially since she was following all the instructions of her escape diary. but she saw a shadowy figure approaching her from the darkness. The man said he was her ally and carried her on his shoulder, taking her back to his home. Inside Yuno's living room, she apologized for the electricity being out and said that she would peel the apple for him before going to the kitchen, and he realized that he needed to go to the bathroom. On the other side of the city, the strange man brought meds for Mina, but kept hiding his face, saying that he was a hero of justice. She wondered what the type of crackhead shit she was getting involved in, and checked her escape diary to make sure she was safe. In the middle of the darkness, Yuki tried using his diary to figure out where the bathroom was, but saw a room that was completely locked up, and Yuno's crazy ass only cared about the night they would become one. The meds began knocking Mina unconscious, and she realized that her escape diary was empty, but the man snapped his finger, revealing that he was hypnotizing her this entire time. Although Yuki had managed to find the bathroom, his phone said nothing about the locked-up room, so as he peeked inside the door, the fabric of space-time began to completely warp on itself. Inside the door, he found 3 dead bodies, and the power of the gods began to fluctuate, making causality itself fall apart. God realized that Yuki alone had created 2 miracles and changed his dead-end flags, but this room being opened had now completely destroyed the flow of time, and he was glad to have chosen him. The sight of the bodies destroyed Yuki's mind, and Yuno thought everything was going so well, wondering why he had to open the door as her diary began erasing what was written. Throughout the streets, Yuki began sprinting away from Yuno until he got to his home, but wondered if he was truly alone.
Oh, hell no!
Inside of his room, he wondered why Yuno was hiding bodies inside of her house and thought that he should call the police about it. But as soon as he called the chief, Yuno began spamming his phone, asking him who the fuck he thinks he's calling. Without anywhere to run, he realized that he was now trapped with her. When the morning arrived, Yuki's phone began ringing to wake him up, and Kaigo told him to hurry up outside. But after leaving his home, he realized that he should tell him about what he saw in Yuno's house. However, Yuno told him that it was really embarrassing because he was so fast last night, and thought he slammed her against the door really hard. On their way to the police station, Kaigo revealed that Mina had been caught at a temple, but Yuki kept feeling Yuno's killer gaze on him. Eventually, they arrived at the temple, but the priestess had already recognized that Yuki was one of the future diary holders, and knew that she had to eliminate Yuno. As they sat before a cage, the girl introduced herself as Omekata, saying that a few weeks ago, her diary began predicting future events of faraway places, and revealed that she was the 6th diary holder. However, she said that she wasn't willing to become God, and would even give them Mina from her prison cell, as long as they helped change the dead end on her diary. A few hours later, Yuki wondered if she would be able to see her killer with the clairvoyance diary, but she told him that she couldn't. However, she warned him that Yuno would bring him destruction and end his life. All the words she said to degrade Yuno were written in her diary, so she swore to kill her for trying to ruin their relationship. In that moment, someone lit a fire next to Omekata, and all of the followers were hypnotized into killing one another. Yuki wondered what took over them, and as he went to save Omekata, Yuno tried stopping him from leaving, and asked him to come back to her home where they would be safe. However, he said she just wanted to make him another one of the bodies in her room, and called her insane before running off, leaving her crying. As soon as he managed to enter the cage, the sprinklers began going off, and Omekata screamed at her followers to quiet down, snapping them out of their hypnosis. She was glad that Yuki would come to save her, but Yuno couldn't shake Yuki's words out of her head, and realized that Omekata must have been the reason, so she needed to be eliminated. Inside the prison cell, Makoto revealed that there was never a chance of her winning against the 6th, and took out his belt before performing an African rain dance. When Yuki tried helping Omekata down the stairs, Yuno told him to get away from her, saying that her life would end now, but their futures were changed in that moment, and Yuki's 3rd dead-end flag was set. Down inside the dungeon, Makoto had put on his entire uniform, saying that he had the ability to hear everything through his diary, and Mina realized he was blind. At the same time, Yuno realized what she needed to do, and began killing off all of the corpses, saying that they were pretending to be dead so they could kill them when they were distracted. All of them began charging forward, but Yuno managed to slash their heads off, telling Yuki to choose her and live, or to choose the 6th and die. As another man began rushing towards them, Yuno knocked him away and grabbed Yuki's hand, but he extended it to save Omekata along with them. At the same time, Kaigo called Yuki and apologized for taking a long time to fix the sprinklers, but said that he would begin looking for the 9th as Makoto threw the keys for Mina to escape. Throughout the temple, Yuno tried shaking Omikata off of them, and Yuki realized that Yuno was beginning to lose all of her energy. However, Omikata told him that they should stop here to defeat the enemy, but Yuno was about to kill that disgusting bitch, asking her if she was using Yuki once again. In that moment, his phone began going off, and Kaigo revealed that the 12th was going to be heading their way, and that Mina determined he was blind. From above them, however, a group of 5 maniacs appeared. As they landed before them, one of the Power Rangers revealed that the 6th was tricking him this entire time, and that they were willing to spare him as long as he allowed them to kill the 6th. After all, they already had a dead-end flag set on them, so they swallowed a bomb and swore to eliminate the cult leader along with them. Yuno begged him to run away, but when he said that he was determined to save her, all 5 of them began charging towards him. The only one they needed to eliminate was the real diary holder, so knowing he was blind, Yuno began running and pretended to throw a rock to the right. But after it landed on the left railing, she realized there was only one of them that didn't fall for her illusion, and rushed forward to slash his neck down. In that moment, his diary announced that the 12th holder had passed away, and the explosion went off, causing Yuno to collapse after all the exhaustion had caught up to her. However, Omikata was glad that she did their job for them, and they pulled Yuki away from her, saying that the 2 of them were now going to die. But on top of that, she wanted to destroy Yuno's psyche, so she made out with Yuki before her eyes. But when she tried to check if the dead end was gone, it was still there, and she wondered how that was possible. From behind, Yuno began killing all of her men and began rushing towards Omikata, slashing her down. However, only her hand had fallen off, but Yuno gave him her diary before pushing him off the bridge, collapsing in that instant. As the men began chasing after him, Kaigo realized they were all screwed, especially since the cops weren't able to enter, so he told Mina that he would allow her to escape as long as she made a deal with him. Inside the temple, Omikata revealed that she was going to erase the world when she became God, and promised to kill Yuki in front of her eyes. At the same time, Yuki was hiding underneath the floors while the followers were searching for him, and he realized that Yuno has been trying to save him this entire time. Because even though she was insane, she loved him and wanted to protect him, so he wanted to be the one to protect her for once, and saw a ball laying next to him. However, Omikata wanted to find out if Yuki truly cared about her, and ripped off her clothes, announcing that Yuno would be getting plot developed if he doesn't come to save her. Those words broke Yuki's mind, as he wondered if he could really just leave Yuno instead of risking his life. But in that moment, he began running towards her. The only thing he thought about was how she vowed to protect him, and asked him to kiss her on the forehead to reward her next time. So as she screamed out his name, he ran inside the room swinging his axe like a moron, and Omikata was surprised he had actually come to save Yuno. As he pulled out his dart, she told him that it was useless with all her followers having their eyes on him. But Yuki knew that his dead-end flag wasn't set yet, so he announced that he chose Yuno to live in his future, and walked forward to throw a ball in the air, distracting all of her followers. In that instant, she tried to protect her diary, but since her arm was cut off, she was unable to save her diary from his dart, erasing her existence as she was swallowed into the whole of space-time. Eventually, the police arrived on the scene, and while they sat in the back of a patrol vehicle, he wondered who Yuno really was, and kissed her to sleep, changing their future back to the happy ending. The following day, this crazy f***ing psychotic chick taped up Yuki's windows to break through them without destroying all the glass, and snuck inside of his home. During that time, Yuki was bringing his mom back from the station, and this dickhead nearly got run over by the car. It's too bad he didn't. The earth would have been a better place without this ugly, disgusting, worthless, lonely loser around. When they got back, his mom realized that the glass was broken, but Yuki saw it was Yuno who broke the window in his diary, so he ran and found her inside of his room, wondering why the f*** she was bent over next to his bed. She revealed that she wanted his mother to bless their relationship, but when his mother saw all the food that was getting cooked, she began coming to his room, and he wondered how he could hide this psychotic chick. As his mother entered the room, she saw Yuki pushing the door. However, Yuno began pushing the door and calling out Yuki's name. But although he slammed the door, his mother had already heard a girl's voice and wondered where it was coming from. As he kept trying to close the door, she wondered why he was struggling to keep a door closed, and asked him if he was bringing girls over. At the same time, Yuno began pushing the door while his mother tried pulling him away, so Yuki decided to let the door go and threw his mom out of his room. But Yuno was about to destroy the entire world when she saw his plot-filled magazines. He tried grabbing them away, but his mother saw what he was holding and was about to destroy every bone in his body. At the dinner table, Ria was happy that her son finally brought a girl home, because she was starting to think he would be forever alone with how ugly and disgusting his useless face was. By the time they were done, his mother made a bed for Yuno and told him to use protection, because she didn't want another loser like him. At the same time, Yuno was showering, but grew sad at how kind Yuki's mother was, especially when she remembered how awful her parents were. While Yuki began trying to fall asleep, Yuno wondered why he wasn't coming to her bed yet, so he told her that he wasn't in love with her, but she told him that he will sleep with her eventually, showing him the July 28th entry. However, when Yuki told her that he might change the future, she told him that she wouldn't allow this future to change, even if it was him. She said that she declares war so that she could develop plot with him. But the coward ran underneath his bed and decided to fall asleep.
Yuki のお母様がいい人でよかったわ。道具を使わずに済んだもの。
Hell no, to the no, 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 yeah, to the no.
On the morning of May 13th, Yuki heard the sound of his mother bringing a child home, and when they went down together, Ria said he would be their new brother, and the kid introduced himself as Ray. While he was drawing on the table, Yuki realized he must have been one of the children who lost his family during the temple massacre. But after he was done cutting out his drawing, he ran over to give it to Yuno before tripping on the carpet and nearly stabbing her heart out. However, she told him that she was fine as she showed him the pillow, so Ray ran into the bathroom and took out his toys, realizing that Yuno was going to be a tough one to deal with. After all, he knew that Yuki's diary predicts everything surrounding him, while Yuno's diary predicts everything that will happen to Yuki, so they had the perfect barrier against any attacks that he may use. On the other hand, his hypervision diary only makes 3 predictions each day, but he swore to kill them, the same way they killed his parents, and took out a bottle of poison to prove that he was better than them. So while they ate lunch that day, Ray revealed that he's the one who created the salad, remembering the way he mixed the poison with the cherry tomatoes. But as Yuki was about to eat one, Yuno realized something was off about its weight, so she stopped Yuki from eating it, telling him they were heavier even when taking all the water droplets into account. Ray wondered how the fuck this bitch was a human, but she knew he was suspicious, and Yuki's diary changed as soon as she was gone. After Yuki showered, Ray snuck into the bathroom and mixed salt with the water to make electrocuting Yuno easier. But Yuki's future changed to show that Yuno would be getting electrocuted, and tried to find a way to prevent that from happening. As soon as Ray snuck in to electrocute her, Yuki activated all the electricity in the house to trip the breaker, and realized that Ray must have been the diary owner hiding among them. The following day, Yuki spent the entire morning searching for Ray's diary, but Yuno told him it would be easier to just kill him instead. However, Ray said they would never be able to find his diary anyway, since their brains were as useless as his dead parents. As Yuki started digging outside, he realized that Ray was watching them, but Yuno had already disappeared from behind. The psychotic bitch was trying to crush Ray with her hammers, and when Yuki's mother heard all the noises, she decided to go outside, but took the blunt force of the hammer to the back of her head, knocking her unconscious in that instant. A few hours later, Yuno began apologizing for accidentally hitting his mother's head, but Yuki told her to just think about Ray's diary location instead, and asked her to look for it together. Hearing those words, she decided to go to the kitchen, and activated the 7 demonly chakras to enhance her deranged-ass brain. Ray couldn't stay alive without his diary, so the only way it wasn't in their home was if he sent a package to himself from the convenience store. As soon as she realized his plan, the doorbell rang, and Yuno screamed for him to get the package since it contained the diary. But as soon as Yuki stole the package, she realized it was a trap. But it was already too late. Gas began dissipating from the package that knocked him unconscious, and Yuno dragged his body away while Ray was wearing a mask to stay alive. Inside the bathroom, she tried bringing Yuki back to life, but Ray told her that he had the antidote to save their lives if she played a game with him. So she promised that she would get the antidote back for Yuki, and covered her mouth before running outside. As she began looking around, she broke through the window to get some air, as Ray continued hiding underneath one of the cabinets. This little fucker was literally playing hide and seek with their lives. However, he saw that his diary had predicted his death already, so he decided to go outside to change his future, and thought this new family was a lot better than his previous abusive parents. A few moments later, Yuno realized he must be on the second floor, but he was already standing in plain sight, and water began flowing onto the floor, causing Yuno to realize she had fallen for his trap. Ray broke a light bulb to electrocute Yuno, and although she tried to keep holding her breath back, she had collapsed onto the floor while barely managing to keep her mouth closed. As Ray drew closer, he was about to euthanize Yuno, but Yuki threw a dart and ran to kiss her, giving her all the air that was in his lungs. This was all Yuno needed to start moving, and with the knife in her hand, she swore that no one would hurt Yuki ever again. While Ray passed out, he gave her the antidote, asking her if she was sure she wanted to save Yuki, since only one of them could become God. But Yuno gave a sly smile as the void swallowed Ray's body. Slowly, she began trying to walk towards Yuki, but passed out before she could reach him. However, Mina appeared in that moment, telling him that he needs to kill Yuno early on if he wanted to survive, since she was the biggest threat to this game. Only 8 remained in the survival game for God. But one of the contestants asked God if he could give up ownership of his own diary to someone else. 2 weeks had passed since Ray's death, but Yuno's stalker ass had been following him everywhere he went. This was going to be his first day at a new school after the last one blew up, but as they kept walking, some dumbass albino stared at Yuki and smiled. But when he turned towards Yuno to tell her someone was stalking him, the man disappeared. Inside of his class, Yuki tried sneaking inside, but a guy told him that sneaking in wouldn't stop the others from smelling his stinky anime convention ass.
Yo, that one there was a violation. Personally, I wouldn't have it.
It was Kazuto, the guy who never stopped bullying him in his previous school, so he began telling everyone that Yuki was the one who murdered the others in their previous school. As he began laughing, a girl smacked his disgusting face, introducing herself as the peacekeeper Hinata, and her ugly-ass friend Mio introduced herself as her dyke side chick. But as the twink tried to get up,
sensational.
The dumbass decided to smile, and Mio realized she had some good material to use at night. When the class began, Hinata revealed that there's been a serial killer that was murdering people every night. When the class was over, Yuno saw Yuki walking, but was about to burn the world when she saw a girl next to him. Together, they snuck past the police to enter the serial killer's crime scene, but he realized that Yuno was off ever since he saw her after school. Although they kept spending time together, Yuno kept her distance from all of them, and kept writing the word die on the floor. A few hours later, the simp wondered why she was hanging out with him, so she revealed that it was because they were friends, and began running off, but Yuno tried telling him that they should be leaving already. At the same time, Hinata heard the sounds of dogs coming from the forest, and like every white bitch in a horror movie, she decided to investigate until she saw hundreds of eyes staring at her. While the others were walking, the future diary's static began going off, but when Yuno told him that they should run away, he said that he would not abandon Hinata since she was his first friend, and read that her arm was torn off on the ground. After they ran towards her, he saw that her arm was on the ground, along with her lifeless body laying far away. But the dogs had cornered all of them. However, Akise decided to reveal himself, thinking it was cute how Yuki was trembling, and told him not to worry because he was his friend. As he pulled him back up, he began dragging Yuki towards the observatory tower, and while they were running, a mysterious man began preparing a feast for all of his dogs, and studied their locations as they chased the diary holders. Eventually, Yuki's group managed to make it inside the observatory, but Yuno felt there was something off about how friendly Akise was, and told him not to be so confident about trusting him. After all, the dogs could be controlled by one of them, so she told him to use them as a distraction while they ran away. However, Yuki decided to use his diary and risk having them find out the truth, since he couldn't bear the idea of seeing his new friends dying. So he told Kazuto to brace the second window. At the same time, he told Mio to protect the window to her left, and they managed to block the dogs from breaking through. So for the next few hours, he continued commanding them to block the windows until the dogs decided to run away. And Kazuto thought he wasn't a stinky-ass worthless loser because of his future predicting cell phone. However, Mio pretended to hug him before taking his phone and raising a knife to his neck, and Hinata was shocked that Yuki revealed his secret this easily. but revealed that she was actually after Akise this entire time. A week ago, Hinata's father revealed that he was the one behind the killings, since he wanted to become God and revive her dead mother, but told her that there was a person pursuing him, and she saw Akise staring at them from the street. She revealed that her goal was to eliminate Akise's future diary, so she used Yuki as bait to lure him out. However, Akise decided to gamble for their diaries, and after tossing a coin into the air and catching it, he asked her which hand it was in. However, he revealed that she would be the one tossing the coin in the air, so as soon as she was about to begin, Yuki tried to signal to Yuno that the coin would be in her right hand. But after hearing the future's static, Hinata tossed the coin into the air, changing the coin into her left hand since she knew that Yuki signaled to them. However, he thought it wasn't a problem because his diary predicted everything, and after guessing it was in her left hand, all of them were shocked, and Yuno wondered if he was a real diary holder. It was now his turn. But although Yuki's diary said it would be in his left hand, she decided to guess it was in his right hand, changing the future once again since it really was in his left hand. After giving Yuki back to them, Yuno thought something was off since his phone didn't emit any static when the future was changed. But before the last round would begin, Yuno pushed him to the ground and pointed her blade towards him, asking him what number he was. She thought Yuki was going to die, and as she looked at his phone, she realized that it was completely empty, so he laughed at her face, saying it was too fun to stop pretending since everyone believed him. His wins were pure luck and relied on the fact that Hinata would lose faith in her own powers. But as Yuno was about to end his life for risking Yuki, he flipped her ass over, asking them if they wanted to continue playing the game, and told Yuno that his love for Yuki was more than that of a friend. As Hinata threw the last coin, Yuno decided to close Yuki's ears, and Akise guessed that it was in her right hand, shocking her for determining that he was correct. In that moment, Yuno allowed Yuki to hear once again, and Akise pretended to be sad for guessing the right hand incorrectly. But Yuno knocked him unconscious. This was the way he manipulated the future that was set in the diary, using the greatest 300 IQ 4D chess move in all of anime. But as Mio casted her knife, Yuno rushed towards her before stabbing her as she was about to break Yuki's diary. As Hinata tried to throw her off, she lost Yuki's phone, and Akise told him to leave before they tried killing them once again. After they were gone, she alerted her dogs to begin searching for them. But as Yuki kept running, he realized they had no chance of outrunning the dogs, so he decided to stop Hinata instead, and Akise said they would sacrifice themselves to lure the dogs away. Although they agreed, Yuno began chasing after Yuki, telling him that he shouldn't be risking his life for a girl he just met today, and drew her knife as she ran closer to him, but stabbed a dog that was about to attack him. She told him that she was the only friend he needed, but he couldn't understand why she wanted him to be lonely. As Hinata was sitting alone, Yuki tripped on his way to her, but Yuno kept rushing towards Hinata and drew her blade to her neck, commanding her to call off the attack and drop her phone if she wanted to stay alive. However, Yuki told her that all they needed was her diary, and wondered why she wanted to kill every friend he made.
ユキがこの女と仲良くなったりしたら、ユキ、この女を好きになるかもしれないから。だから殺さなきゃ。
Not gonna lie, that shit made me hard. I'm not gonna lie, I just got it, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
She asked Yuki if she wasn't enough as his only friend, but he said that she wasn't his friend, crushing her mind. However, he went on to tell everyone that Yuno was his girlfriend, apologizing for not introducing her to them earlier, and Yuno pretended that sweat was the thing dripping down her legs as she quivered from climaxing. The moron realized that he just told a lie he'll never recover from, and although Hinata apologized for failing, her father told her that it was his fault for blaming Akise, but revealed that he never cared about her mother coming back to life. This entire time, he was sacrificing his own daughter to get his plans completed, but realized this was the end for him as Kaigo appeared from behind, shooting the back of his head. Later that night, Yuno was back in one of her psychotic-ass episodes as she dug a massive hole, saying she would dig a giant grave for Yuki, but stopped as she wondered what she was trying to hide. On June 12th, Yuki was excited for Akise's invitation to hang out today, but Yuno appeared and dragged him onto the bus. She said that she also received an email from Akise saying that there will be a wedding event that Yuki wanted to invite her to, but was too shy to ask. As the door closed, he realized that he was clapped, but not as hard as Yuno wanted to be after he said she was his girlfriend, so he wanted to tell her that he was lying, but didn't know when. After spending the entire day pretending to be her husband, he wondered why he didn't fall in love for her since she was such a perfect girl, until he remembered what he found in her hidden room. When the time came for their marriage ceremony, the priest asked her if she took Yuki as her husband, and after saying "I do," he realized that if he had never saw what was on the other side of the door, he might have never hesitated about his feelings. After they were done, he decided to pretend like he never saw any bodies in that room. But Kaigo's wife came up to them and thought it was nice how a young couple like them were in love with each other. Eventually, he took her back to her home, but she was still passed out from all the exhaustion. As he pulled the door, however, he realized that it was unlocked, and inside of her home, Akise told him that the electricity was off, but Yuki realized that he was here to investigate the room. In that moment, Yuno woke up, and Akise revealed that he couldn't find any bodies in that room, except for a massive crater that remained. But when Yuki asked her about the corpses, she had completely forgotten all about them, and said she was glad that Yuki had come to her home for the first time. As he walked back with Akise, he revealed that she probably erased her own memories because of how fragile her psyche was, and told Yuki to be careful because Yuno was too dangerous without him. At the same time, Kaigo revealed that he has determined 2 primary suspects for who killed Hinata's father, Yuno and Yuki, and said they would be arrested within 24 hours. A week ago, Kaigo had appeared to make a deal with Mina once again, saying that he would protect her until she became God. But he had one request. While Yuki was walking back, he realized that Yuno would always be crazy, but the cops cornered him with Masumi as their leader, saying they needed to question him at the station. As he sat next to Yuno, she held his hand, telling him that she would protect him no matter what happens, even though they were at a disadvantage, and began looking for a weapon she could use before bending over in front of his face. Shout out to the cameraman for one of the greatest shots in all of anime. However, Yuki told her to calm down because he was sure Kaigo was on their side, and went inside the investigation room to talk with him, but saw that he was loading his gun to play a round of Russian roulette. When Yuno saw that Yuki's life was in danger, she took a fire hydrant and followed a worthless loser into the bathroom, before knocking him unconscious. Masumi tried rushing after her, but she knocked his worthless ass out as well, and Kaigo's first shot didn't fire, revealing that his diary was useless unless he investigated someone. So he pulled the trigger once again, and aimed it at Yuki to fire, revealing that someone needed to be guilty in order for his diary to work effectively. After his 4th attempt, they were now on to the last shot, and he revealed that he's chosen to become God now. As he began pulling the trigger, Yuno came and fired to shoot his gun away, and shot the side of his face to knock him down, before shooting him multiple times. When Masumi came in, Yuki tried to stop her from killing him, asking her to return to how she was normally, and bringing life back into her eyes. She told him not to cry because she was here to save him, and pointed her weapon at Masumi, before telling him that they needed to escape. Once they were gone, Kaigo regained consciousness, and he was shocked that he had only managed to lose an ear after the vest had saved him. At the same time, Yuki and Yuno managed to make it into the staircase, before she fired multiple shots at the officers that grazed one of their shoulders. However, the other 2 continued pursuing them, but after another group entered the staircase and fired a warning shot, Yuki turned towards them and fired his gun, shooting at them in the core. This was all Kaigo needed to activate his diary, and announced for the entire police station to arrest the suspects, using deadly force if necessary. Both Yuki's and Yuno's diaries created their dead-end flags, and Yuno was shot in the arm before they managed to escape to the ceiling. But before they jumped, Yuki apologized for not being able to stop her, but she thanked him and kissed him as he cried, dragging him to hug the ground together. However, they luckily landed on a cushioned vehicle and ran off as fugitives. Throughout the following days, they began hiding in a random shed, but Yuki began starving after not eating all this time. However, Yuno told him that it was dangerous outside, so they needed to keep hiding here. Just then, they saw Kaigo's wife walking outside the hospital parking lot, and as they kept tailing her inside, the diary's static went off before the building exploded. When the dust settled, Yuno wondered why Mina was here again. But before she would explode them, Yuki activated her bombs to trap them together, and Yuno slammed a ladder that nearly crushed the floor underneath them. The police began driving towards the scene, and Kaigo wondered why they were at that hospital out of all places.
待て。お前が先に渡ったらあの連れがはしご落とすだろ。
落とさないよ。
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now!
Mina began rubbing her massive cannons on his head, and asked Yuki if they could make an alliance for the time being, even saying she would reveal why Kaigo betrayed them. However, her phone began going off, and Kaigo told her that she would be dead if she revealed his secrets. But as Yuki tried to get away, knowing she would betray them, she told him that she would betray Kaigo's useless ass instead, but told Kaigo she would never betray him. As all of them began screaming, and Kaigo threatened to kill Mina, she snapped before screaming that she didn't care anymore. As she began walking Yuki away, her diary revealed her dead-end flag had been set, so she told them that she knew a way out of this situation. Inside room 413, she revealed that Kaigo's request was that he would continue giving her everything she needed, as long as she protected his son from other diary holders. She revealed that his son only had 3 months left to live, so they would use him as their insurance to survive. And Yuki wondered if he really had to go this far to stay alive. Outside the building, the entire police force had cornered them, and by the time the night arrived, Kaigo commanded the special forces to get in position, even if it risked his son's life. After tying Kaigo's wife up, Mina handed him a flashbang, and Yuno gave him 3 of her bullets. Before Yuki was about to go scouting the area, he told Yuno that he wanted to take her somewhere once they made it out of this safely. At the same time, Kaigo received a call from Mina saying she had a trade. In exchange for his life and an escape vehicle, they would spare his family. But Kaigo refused right away, revealing that they were cornered without a way to escape. He no longer cared about the risk with the hostages, saying his son wouldn't survive anyway, so he would become God and revive him if he needed, hanging up and commanding his units to infiltrate the base. At the same time, Yuno screamed for Yuki to run away before the special forces came to pin him down, and Kaigo began approaching him. However, he started running as Yuno started closing the distance, and she managed to shoot the necks of the soldiers before using them as human shields. Her aim was better than a global elite's, and when she was out of bullets, she decided to go for the flashbang, as Kaigo held Yuki hostage. She told him to let Yuki leave before she exploded this worthless place, and at the same time, Mina had set a bomb to go off in 5 minutes as a distraction for the police, and used the bedding to rope down the side of the building. As she fell down, she saw Masumi's ugly ass, shocking both of them. On the other side of the building, Kaigo decided to let Yuki get away, but she told him that it was okay since her future was meaningless before she met him. In her memories, she remembered the way they promised to get married one day, and all the times she would watch him, and wished that she would grow up faster so they can get married sooner. He had become the only hope in her life, but if her future won't come true, then she was willing to die for him, so that she would chase him even in death and set off the flashbang. As Kaigo tried firing, Yuno ran saying she would die along with him, but Yuki revealed that he wanted to go see the stars with her. As Mina attempted to go for her gun, Masumi knocked it away before getting on top of her, but the flashbang went off in that moment. Yuno had thought it was a real bomb, but they were all still alive while they were unconscious, and at the same time, Mina's distraction bomb went off, allowing her to run away with Masumi from the scene. Above all the rubble, Yuki had managed to survive the explosion along with Yuno, but as he tried to go towards her, Kaigo came in front of him, saying that he would now get to kill both of them before the cops arrived. But after knocking him down next to a gun, Kaigo told him not to bother since he was too spineless to kill someone, and said that he might miss and hit Yuno instead. However, Yuno began waking up, and as Yuki tried to see what would happen in his future, he saw that his bullet would kill Yuno instead. Her diary revealed that her dead-end flag had been set once again, but she told Yuki to shoot anyway, because even though she knew he was pretending to be her boyfriend, she was already happy and was willing to sacrifice her life for him. From her pocket, their marriage photo fell onto the floor, and he wondered why she was carrying this around. However, she started crying, saying that it was okay if her dreams never came true, as long as Yuki was able to stay alive. Hearing those words made Yuki realize that he couldn't give up, so he promised to make Yuno happy. And as the phone static began going off, the future kept changing over and over. Although he was about to die, he was determined to take Yuno along with him, but Masumi screamed at him to stop, saying he had uncovered the truth about how he trapped them. After all, Mina revealed that she had recorded their entire agreement, and Masumi told him that he was under arrest as his detective title was now stripped. Without it, his diary was completely useless, but Masumi revealed that his family was now safe, so he looked towards the stars and asked Mina if they could make a deal one last time. This time, his life would be the thing he would exchange, and he asked her to look after his son, before the void appeared to swallow him inside. 4 days later, Yuki was able to go back to his normal life since Kaigo had left documents to prove their innocence, as if he had expected this would be the way things turned out. However, Yuki was mainly happy because the cop he shot somehow survived. As he walked to the train station with Yuno, she decided to hold his hand, saying she was really happy, and wished their happy ending would happen today before running in front of him. She gave the Redditor the signal for kissing her, and was surprised that this disgusting virgin was getting better at kissing. When they got to the train station, he received a message from Akise, but Yuno took his phone and began running away, making Akise nervous about what was about to happen. Next to the tracks, Yuki needed to go to the bathroom, so she saw the message warning him to be careful of Yuno, and she wondered how Akise existed in this timeline. The worthless loser came back and wondered what the message was, but she told him it was just junk mail. On the train, he wondered why she brought a massive bag, but she told him that it was just her clothes, meds, and some other stuff. While they were on the bus to see the stars, Akise realized that both of them were out of town, but saw Masumi at that moment. The fabric of space-time had already started crumbling, and God wondered if Meimei was the reason behind Kaigo's early death. But as he tried to crush her, she had already disappeared, admitting that she was messing with the game for her own reasons. When they eventually got off at their stop, Yuno told Yuki that she was thirsty, and went off to buy them a drink, giving it to Yuki. Later that night, Akise remembered meeting with Masumi and realized there were still 6 future diary holders remaining. So he thought that Yuki and Yuno were likely running away from the others. The only thing he knew was the route of the bus they took, but he knew that she was likely trying to mislead them, and barely managed to fall asleep. The following morning, Akise introduced his friends to Masumi, who revealed that Yuno has kidnapped Yuki, and thought only his friends would be able to save him.